Hello folks, welcome back to the channel and the world's worst condition Yamaha KX-1000. Today I'm hoping we can get this thing going today and find out exactly how bad I got ripped off on this one, but before we do, we've got some stuff to talk about. I have done some stuff off camera. You'll notice that the door is now fixed. I'll show you what I did there in due time, very shortly probably, but you'll also notice that the quote-unquote door is off this thing, if you can call it that. I gotta hand it to whoever did this. It's actually not a half-bad job, I gotta say, but ideal it is not, but they made the most of what they had, I guess, so can't fault them for that. Anyhow, some of the other stuff I've done off camera is I went ahead and I gone ahead, yes, and I cleaned the heads on this thing with acetone. I took some Kim wipes and I went over them real carefully just to see exactly how bad they were, and I've got good news and bad news there. The good news is the record and play heads are in better shape than I thought they were. This could turn out to be a lot like the Aiwa XK-007. You'll remember that was in really bad shape as well when I got it. And yet look where it is in my top 5. It's still number 3. Nothing's kicked it out of that spot yet. And yeah, that deck is still so good that my modified Carver TD-1700 is still not able to pass that deck. So this could be better than we think it is. But with that being said, the bad news is the erase head is still not good on this thing. So I think this is one of those decks where you just don't play back with this deck. If you do that, it just erases highs every time the tape goes over the erase head. So, yeah. It's a good thing I bought this one because I don't think anybody in Japan would have paid for this the way it sat, for the price it was at. And yeah, I'm probably the best case scenario for this deck going forward. This is probably the only house it could have gone to and actually still lived a life after this, because anybody else would have just trashed this thing. But yeah, not impressed with the erase head. Somewhat optimistic about the record and play heads. I don't know if it'll go up to the full 24 kilohertz this thing's supposed to be able to do anymore, but hopefully we'll find out by the end of this video. I want to do a frequency sweep on this thing and just see how good it is. But yeah, I've got my supplies together. I've got the belts for this thing all set up. The little ones for the Backtension and the big ones for the Capstans. These belts were intended to be used for this exact transport. They were developed for Nakamichi decks that use this transport. And yeah, that's why I'm not too upset about this. Number one, it was cheaper than my XK-007 was, in comparable condition. And number two, this transport is used by a lot of other decks, so it's real good for a parts deck, if nothing else. So, yeah, you'll notice that there are some motors up top here. We'll talk about this little one in the back first. These are, I'll show you here, if I can. These are intended for these transports to be used in the real motor section. What happens on these is, if they're high enough hours, is the real motors will dead spot on this thing. And I've decided, rather than waste a lot of time trying to refurbish the real motor in this thing, I'm just going to replace it. Brand new one. This wasn't a lot of money. It came from China, so I don't know how good it is, but it'll be good enough for this, I think. And the other two motors you see up top here are these are the good Capstan motors I was talking about. I bought these two immediately after seeing LT Tapehead Service show one of these going into his XK-009, and that's what I bought these for. I bought two of them. These were extremely expensive. They're from 1979. They're new old stock. They're Matsushita, so Panasonic. And yeah, I've got two of these all set aside for the XK-009. And then I actually found two more of them last year. These are Sharp branded, but they're probably the same Panasonic origin, but ROHS means that these are likely to be much newer than these gold ones are. So I'm going to throw this one in this deck if it'll fit. I don't want to take this pulley off of it, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, the reason I'm willing to do this for this deck is because it's easy for me to get it back out of this deck later. This one can just stay in here. I don't care about it, but yeah, this one's going to go back into storage. This one's going to be used today, I hope. I've already checked it. It works. So, yeah. And the other two things I've got up top here are just for fixing that makeshift door back on. Got two kinds of double-sided tape here. I'm going to use at least one of them. Maybe. We'll see. Now, you're going to have to excuse me because I'm not feeling well today. I'm real hoarse, so you might catch me coughing and stuff. So apologies in advance for that. Oh, and one more thing before we get started. I have evaluated the tape door on the BX1 parts deck to see if it'll work on this. The door itself will not swap over to this particular transport, but the plate on which the door mounts may. So that might be something I can look into further down the line. But for now, this one's going back on. But yeah, we'll talk about how I fixed this tape door here as soon as I get this front panel off, so bear with me. Okay, so the front panel is loose. You remove 3 screws up top and 4 screws underneath to get it loose. And I'm going to show you how to take it off to do stuff behind the front panel. I don't think it has to come off in order to get the transport out, which is fortunate, but yeah, just in case, I'll show you how to do it. First, you unplug this connector. This is for there's actually a light bulb right underneath this part of the face here. You can kind of feel it. And I've looked at the schematics, and this light bulb appears to be the only unregulated part of the power supply. So it's very probable that this will work at 120 volts. It's just you might burn this light bulb out. That's all. I think the filament voltage on the VFD is regulated on this one. So yeah, I might do that later. I don't really care about this deck enough to worry about such things, but in order to finish getting this front panel off, we need to take the controls off, all of them. And then we can drop the front panel off. And this control here will stay with the front panel, but it'll come disconnected from the actual control that's back there. I wanted to clean it anyway, so yeah. Okay, now if I can get this door off, we'll get further into this. And you kind of have to have this up in order to do that, so keep that in mind. And we'll just fold it down like so. And now we've got access to everything back here, and I want to clean all these controls here while I'm at it. So this is how I fixed this little door. First, this side was not broken, so it just clipped back in. On this side, it is broken. So what I had to do was I took some doorbell wire. Well, I've got a little hole burned through the arm here. You can kind of see it. I'll try and point it out. Right here, I took the soldering iron and I burned a hole right through it to capture some of this doorbell wire here. And what I did was I just put a little loop of this doorbell wire in, twisted it up, soldered it, and then just retained it with that little hole. So, perfect working order now. I don't have to replace that. And yeah, I'm going to be cleaning these in a second, so I'll do that off camera. But yeah, this is the control here, the fader control. Best to do this from this angle while I've got access to it, so I'll be doing that off camera. But another thing I wanted to mention is I actually did find a new cassette door for this. I'm not going to buy it because the guy wants $100 for the damn thing. People are crazy. But yeah, I could buy a cassette door for this if I really wanted one, and I was totally crazy, but I'm not, so yeah, let me clean these controls and we'll get started with the transport. Okay, so the transport is loose on this unit. It's real easy to get this transport out. 2 screws up top, 2 screws underneath, and then disconnect all the connectors, as usual. I think I got most of them out now, but I just wanted to show the record and play head connectors on camera, just so you know where they go. White one's over here, blue one's over here. At least I hope they're connected properly. They should be. At least this deck had somebody who knew that they were doing fix it up before, so I would think that he got these connectors back on right. So anyway, transport should be ready to come out now, and we will get started on this. Yeah, very easy to get this transport apart, and yeah, rather than deal with this old capstan motor and this bacon belt, as somebody put it in my last video, I will just go ahead and replace the whole motor as an assembly. And I'm just noticing now, it's got a lot of belt remnants of the old belt, the original one, that used to be in this deck. Why wouldn't they clean this up? So maybe the last tech didn't quite know exactly what he was doing. It could have been the user of this deck that fixed it up last and did the door on the front, but I don't know. The bacon belt itself could have left all this residue, so I don't want to be too hard on the previous owner. I'm just noticing that this damper may not be quite in the best shape anymore, but what about this deck is in the best shape anymore? Yeah, it's ridiculous. So yeah, we'll get the beauty plate off next, I think. I think I can do it from here. It's not easy to do while it's in the machine, I'll tell you that right now, because I tried it off camera. I want to take a look at the back tension belt and see if that was ever changed. Possibly it was, possibly it wasn't. I don't know if I want to go too hard on the maintenance of this deck because of the condition it's in, but yeah, I'll figure that out as I go here. Okay, this is the side with the cassette well lamp, so I'm going to have to cut that zip tie in order to get the beauty plate off. And that is not a factory zip tie, I don't think, so somebody was in here. And yeah, predictably the back tension belt is gone on this thing. It is very much gone. Look at this. That is toastified. It is gone, dead, finito. Oh well, I'll get it out later. And we'll take a look at the reel drive pulley here. That may actually not be the problem with the idler assembly. It might be the idler itself. Feels a little bit... Oh, and is it split? It is split. Okay, so it might be the idler tire only. But we'll check this pulley for cracks as well, because we're in here, we might as well. And I will mention that I thought about polishing these heads because they are kind of almost in the condition that I would want them to be polished, but I decided not to do that. The part where the tape rides is okay, so in situations like this I like to just leave them alone. They have to be really bad for me to polish heads. And look at this belt. Let's get rid of it. It's gone. Clearly that was not changed in the last service on this machine. But yeah, it's getting a new reel motor and all that good stuff. So don't know exactly how to get the reel motor out of this thing, but we'll figure it out, I'm sure. But we're going to start back here with the bacon belt. Got this damper here we're going to have to take out in order to get access to the screws. Trying to get this thing on camera for you. I'm working around my camera gimbal right now. Got one more screw, it seems like. Looks like it's over here on this side. Okay, does this come off now? No. What else needs to come off? Oh, I see. The bracket goes all the way through up over here as well. So we've got another screw. I'd like to leave those switches in place if I can. And yeah, we're good to go now. Oh, good Lord. Look at this. This is really high hours. No two ways about it. So, yeah, I'm going to go off camera real quick and desolder this motor, and I'll see if the new one is going to work in this. It should. Okay, so I think the new motor is going to work. The pulley is slightly different, but I don't think it's going to matter any. The point is, I'm not going to have to clean the new pulley. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and install this motor, and hopefully it'll work. But first, we got to do some hardcore cleaning here, because this is just filthy and nasty and disgusting and pathetic. Don't buy these bacon belts. I know there's some temptation to do that in certain parts of the world, but just don't. They're no good. Get yourself a good 9.7-inch internal circumference belt, or 9.6, which is what I'm using, is the 9.6 by 5mm wide, and use that. Get one of the ones from China if you can't find anything better. But don't use one of these bacon belts that you sometimes find from the Ukrainian eBay sellers. They're no good. Garbage. Don't use them. You're going to see, well actually I'm going to show you right now, there's belt remnants all over the inside of this thing. I'm going to have to clean all that crap up. So you want to deal with that later? By all means, go ahead and buy a bacon belt. I don't, so I'm not going to do it. So yeah, I'm going to reinstall this motor now, and then we'll, or install the new motor I should say, and then we'll go ahead and continue on with this. Give me a second. Okay, new universal type capstan motor is installed, and I did lubricate the front bearing in this thing. No worries there. So yeah, we'll set this aside and we'll get started on the messy part. And I will go ahead and service this motor off camera. It may go back in this deck, it may not. I may save it for something else. I don't know. If this deck sounds good enough the way it is, I'm going to keep the universal type capstan motor in here. I've got 4 of them. I've got 2 like these sharp ones, and I've got 2 like the other ones. So I've got plenty of those. And these are the types of decks I am reserving those motors for. So if this one's good enough, like I say, we'll keep it in here. But forgot to deal with the oil control washers on this side. So let's get those off. I could zoom in, couldn't I? Probably should pull the door assembly off this thing as well. But why not make something harder for myself when I don't have to? These are some good oil control washers, I'll tell you what. And I don't think these have ever been off this machine before. I think it was just a straight belt swap on the capstan side of things. And that's all they did. But yeah, I did clean the capstans before shooting this video, and there is some wear to the capstan finish I'm seeing as I look at it now under bright light, but I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as the XK-007 had. So yeah, lots of belt remnants on this thing. And we've got a spring. You got to remember how this spring goes as well. You can see it here. That's how it goes. So I'm going to drop it down inside the capstan for now. Oh, there's a little washer on the other end of it too, so let's not be losing that. I'm going to drop all that stuff down on the capstan itself, just so I can remember where things go. And these need to be thoroughly cleaned as well. And it's the same deal on this side. We've got another spring and probably another washer, yes. See if I can get it with my fingers here. May not be able to. Oh yes, I can. And it didn't go back on the shaft, but that's okay. I'm cleaning up in here anyway, and good Lord, is there ever a lot of cleanup to do. And it kind of looks like the reel motor comes out from the back on a plate, but you also have to remove the reel tables first in order to access that. Okay, that's easy enough. Very accessible mechanism. Very happy with it, at least so far. Good Lord, this belt residue, I hate it. Okay, so the vacuum cleaner did kind of work, but kind of not. So I'm going to spare my Kim wipes from here, and I'm just going to go at this with Q-tips. The problem is some of this residue is still rubberized, so it's not coming off very cleanly. So yeah, I'm just going to have to go over this like I am right now and just get all this stuff cleaned out, and it's going to take some time. So let me do that, and I'll bring you back once I've got it done. Okay, so I got as much of this crap cleaned out as I could, including I got rid of all the old grease that's down here by the head block. I will re-grease that in a second here, but yeah, when that belt went, it just flew everywhere. There's little bits of it still in there. We're probably going to have to be cleaning a lot of it out, or a lot more of it out as this video goes on, because it's just impossible to get all of it from where I'm sitting right now. I'm still pulling garbage out of there. Anyway, yeah, just the worst possible belt he could have put in here, he put in here. And that's all there is to it. So gonna probably clean the capstan flywheels and capstans off camera, but I want to do the capstan bearings right now. And I wanted to mention that the supply side is smaller than the take-up side. It's very easy to see it from here. So I just wanted to mention that. So you can't really reverse the two capstans. But yeah, I want to clean these out now. Don't know if this was ever done. Don't know if it even needs to be done, but we're here. We're going to do it. Do this side first, and you will see the pipe cleaner coming out, and there is some crud on the pipe cleaner, so I'm going to say this needed to be done. Absolutely filthy mechanism here. So we'll get the other side now. If we can get it to go through, it's a little smaller. It's going. And I'm just going to check to see if there are any fibers in there. And I do not see any. Be good to blow those out, so let me get my rocket blower. And I'll just blow right through to make sure there's nothing stuck in there. And that should do the job. I'm seeing even more of that belt crap from the bacon belt. And yeah, like I said, I'll go off camera to clean up the flywheels and capstans, because you've seen me do that before. But before I do that, I just want to start getting some oil into these capstan bearings here. And I've got some new oil coming to see how it does. It is Amsoil SAE20 oil. I want to see how it does. Some people have said that it performs well with capstan bearings, but it's got like double the viscosity of this stuff, which is Androl 456. And basically I'm going to try it to see how cheaper oil does in some of these tape decks. I'm not sure if it's any good or not. I just want to see, because Androl 456 and Isoflex PDP 65, which are about the same viscosity, are very expensive. So I got some oil into that. That's all I wanted to do. And I just want to do the front side real quick as well, just to get oil into these bearings. This strikes me as having been very dried out for a very long time, so that's why I'm using more than I would normally do. Okay, we'll let that soak in now, and we'll continue, because we have to leave the flywheels out in order to get this reel motor out. So I guess we'll move on to the front side, or wait, maybe I should clean these switches up here first and service this motor, because it's going to need it. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do, is I'll service this motor next. I'll do that off camera. You've seen me do it before in a video, so if you want to see that, just go back and look at when I was doing my BX150 service to that motor, because it'll be the same procedure for this one. Alright, I'm going to go back on camera here real quick and talk about what I had to do in order to clean this flywheel up. As you can see, it's pretty well clean now, but I had to go a little more aggressive than usual on this thing. I had to use the WD-40 trick. Basically what you do is you spray this stuff on, and it'll dissolve all the old belt goo. But then once you're done with the WD-40, you have to be very aggressive at cleaning the WD-40 back off, otherwise it'll eat the new belt. So yeah, this has had many, many passes with the acetone since I used the WD-40, but I just wanted to mention that. If you've got a real stubborn belt goo situation on your hands, you can use WD-40 to get the belt goo off, but then you just got to clean it real good afterwards. So that's what I've done with this. I've still got some residue on the inside, but that's not so important. But yeah, I'm going to clean up the other one now, and then I'll come back with you on camera. Okay, so I got the control motor service done. Made zero mistakes, none whatsoever. Forget all the rumors you've heard. There were no mistakes, none at all. I'm not objecting too much, nothing happened. No, actually something did happen. I melted the terminal, or the side of the plastic here where the terminal goes in for the positive, and I had to sort of grind it down so it would fit back together, but that's the only mistake I made. So this motor now starts with 0.9 volts, so it's working nicely. And I've already cleaned these switches here. I used acetone at first on a piece of paper to get the gunk off of it, and then I went in with Deoxit D100L afterwards. Now, I wanted to mention, before I put this back in, this mechanism will reset itself whenever it goes back in and gets power again, but before you put this back in, you have to make sure this little arm here is up and out of the way, and ditto with the head block. It's a good idea to just push all this stuff out of the way first. And what I'm going to do for that is I'm just going to push up from down here like so, and then I'll put that assembly back in. There's 2 screws that hold it in, one from the back and one from the front. So you'll see it when you get in there. Okay, let's start the front side of the transport now. First off, I'm going to have to remove this door because I'm going to have to check the tape path anyway. And to do that, we just get rid of these 2 screws here, and I want to get rid of this zip tie as well because it's going to be in the way. This is holding the head wires. Just want everything out of the way so I can get this done a little bit easier. Helps if I keep my tools in my hands too. Just checking how it's mounted on this side just to make sure I can put it back where it needs to go. There's a spring here to worry about. I'm going to pull the damper out just like I did on the 666ES, I think. Take this bracket off and put it up to the side with the screws that hold it on. I'll release the spring from down here. Don't know if you saw that. I think you did. The spring hooks on up here and up here. So let's see if I can get this out the way I want to get this out. Probably not, because it looks like the spring is attached down here. Great! So I'm going to compromise just a little bit here. And I'm going to take this off this way. Probably not the best way to do this, but it's the way I'm going to do this. I'll probably live to regret it too. Anyhow, that's the door off now. Now, at first glance, it's going to seem like there is no way to adjust the entry guide height on this thing, but there actually is. I'll show it to you here. I knew I would regret this. Oh well, I'll just continue to try and work around that and lose parts all willy-nilly. I'll put everything back, I promise. Anyhow, as I was saying, there actually is a way to align the entry guide height on this, and it's this little screw here. Right there. It's kind of nice, actually. You don't have to worry about the alignment when you take this pinch roller off, it seems like. Which is good, because I do have to take those off for cleaning. I've looked at these, and they are, in fact, good enough to reuse, I think. So, at least that's the way I'm hoping it'll be. So yeah, I might take a look in my Chinese idler tire kit and see if I can find an idler tire for this thing, but if not, I'm just going to have to use the BX1 idler tire, or the one I was saving for the BX1. Not what I would prefer, but probably what I would have to do on this. So I want to work on the reel motor first, so yeah, I'm going to have to pop these reel tables off. Just taking a look at how the brakes are. They go in from the other side. I should be able to lift them from the back. Yes, that is the case. So we got to get these reel tables off. And these don't look like split washers, so watch where they go if they go flying. It's probably best to use my fingernails, but I kind of cut them a bit short yesterday, so set that one up out of the way, and we've got a spring-loaded little doohickey down here. I'll show it to you. It's got a pin on it. You're going to want to locate that pin right where that hole is. But I want to pull this off so I don't lose any pieces. trying to do this one-handed while I hold you guys, and there's a spring underneath, which is green with old oil. Don't know if you can see it, but yeah, needs cleaning. Put that up out of the way where I can keep track of it, and I will fight with the other reel table off camera so I don't lose anything. Okay, so I managed to get this thing done, and the reel table's off without losing or breaking anything. I guess I've got a spring to extract on this side too. I should do that before I lose that. Watch it go flying. Anyhow, we are ready to go get the reel drive system off. So we got to flip her over for that. And hopefully everything is okay back here. So I got to set you down. And we will zip some screws out. We have 3 screws to zip out. One there, one up here, and one on the other side. If I can get my screwdriver on the screw. Oh, that's not a screw, that is a nut. Oh, that screw does not want to come out. Ah, there we go. I'm still finding bits of that bacon belt everywhere. It's annoying. Thank goodness for these vessel screwdrivers, otherwise I wouldn't have gotten that out. Okay, I need my other toolkit in order to deal with that nut. And it's paint locked too to make it extra aggravating. Let's see, what size would that be? I'll try 3.5 millimeters. Nope, it's a 4 millimeter. Okay, it's off. I'll just grab the little nut here. And off it comes. And we should be able to just pull the reel drive assembly right now. Just I gotta work this idler out too, and looks like something else is wanting to come out with it, so the brake assembly. Just trying to do this so it'll work properly and not fight me too hard. There we go. And yeah, that's the brake assembly right there, it looks like. Spring loaded at the top. And it looks like this is how it goes, right here. Which makes sense to me. So that'll be fun getting back in later. Get some more bacon belt remnants out of there. And where did this little washer come from? It's not from the reel tables, I don't think. It's from somewhere else. And I just lost another nut. Great. Might have to review my footage to find out where all this stuff came from. But that's fine. This is not the world's best example of one of these decks, so who cares? And no, that nut was not from the reel plate assembly. It was from somewhere else. I don't know where. And I can tell you right now that yes, this pulley is cracked, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to deal with that. Has a lot in common with what I did on the front control panel, actually. So, yeah, just taking a look here. I'll just yank this thing off now. Oh, wait, before I do that, is this shaft going to be too long on this motor? It looks like it. I've got another version with a shorter shaft. Let me go find it. Okay, this is the one with the shorter shaft. I don't know if it's going to work any better. It looks like it will. It might be too short, but I'll make that determination when I get there. So yeah, we got to pull this thing off, which is not going to be hard because it is cracked. Got a little felt clutch on the bottom of it. Good Lord, I'm losing stuff everywhere. That was a spring, I think, so let me go find it and I'll be back to you. Okay, found the spring. It didn't go far. Just trying to see how it goes back on. I might have to review footage on that one as well. But yeah, to fix this, sometimes what you'll see is people will epoxy down in here to hold it to the shaft, but I kind of want the ability to take this back off again, so I'm not going to do that. But first, I want to show you this crack that's in it. A lot of these do this. And what I will probably do eventually, if this deck is good enough, and only if it's good enough, is I will go ahead and I'll go ahead and take the idler assembly off the NAC BX1, I think. That is how I will do that. But first, got a washer to pull off, and I think there's another little do-jangler underneath to pull off, because we are replacing this motor. See if I can get it with tweezers. Basically taking apart this little clutch that's on here. And I'm glad I found that spring again, because that would have been not fun to go find later. Okay, now we got to unsolder these leads. I've got them marked, and I'm going to use my power supply to figure out exactly which polarity is which. So, which of these motors am I going to use? That shaft is clearly too short. This is about 1/4 inch too long. So I'm going to cut down this shaft, I think. That's how I'm going to do that. I won't use the shorter one. More bacon belt everywhere. Okay, I'm going to set this aside and we're going to fix this pulley. And the way I'm going to fix that pulley is with the doorbell wire. I believe this is how some people do this. I don't know if everybody does it this way, but this is how I'm going to do it. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to wrap a loop of wire around this, solder it together, and then it'll be hopefully staying on now after that. Okay, now I'm going to have to twist that. Apologies for my throat clearing. Like I said, I'm not feeling good. Might have said it. I don't know if I said it. And that should work. I don't know if it'll have the best wow and flutter, but for this deck, who cares? Okay, so that's done. I'll fire up the iron. And we're just going to solder right there. If we can hold our hands still. Not the easiest soldering job in the world, I'll tell you that now. Now I gotta disconnect this reel motor here and prepare the new one. Okay, so I can tell which one is which, because I marked it earlier. I don't know if I'll bother putting this little paper insulator back on or not. Alright, so I got the new reel motor mounted. Hopefully it's happy. And I did find a Chinese idler for this thing in my multi-idler kit. These are from Conpile. The one I found is about 13.4 millimeters outer diameter and 9.6 internal and 2.1 millimeters thick. It should be roughly what we've got over on the old one. Hard to measure the internal diameter because this one's broken. Yeah, it's the same. Exactly the same. So I'm going to use this Conpile idler. I'm not going to get into the one I set aside for the BX1 because if this deck performs well enough, the idler assembly from the BX1 is going to come over here anyway. So I'm just going to fit this idler tire on, get her seated, hopefully. Some of these Chinese idlers aren't very good. There are actually two of this size in that kit, but one of them was very obviously not right. So that seems to be in place now. I just gotta put things back in the way they're supposed to go back in. So if my brain could tell me how to do that, I would appreciate it. First off, we'll put the spring on. And then the idler goes back on, I think. Pretty sure on that. And I should mention I did bevel this shaft after I cut it to make sure things could go back on again, but it is time for the this pigtail I soldered on it is going to hit the side of the idler, so I'm going to have to cut some of this off. Because we want this to fit. And it wasn't going to. So hopefully it works now. I'm just going to do a test fit. No, that's going to hit. Maybe I should have used thinner gauge wire than this, but this was all I had. Okay, so I made an attempt, but the doorbell wire is too heavy gauge for this. I'm going to have to do the epoxy stuff. Not what I would like, but it's fine. I have plenty of these motors. I don't have to worry about losing one or two or three to a deck like this. Just checking to make sure it's got the clutch action working here. The problem is, it doesn't seem to be engaging with the idler very well. See, it's not turning right now. That's a problem. Might have to try and find a thicker idler or use that one from for the BX unit. But yeah, this here is why I couldn't use the doorbell wire. There's just not enough space in there, down in this gap here, for the wire to go. So that will not work, that heavy gauge wire. I don't know, we'll just have to see if this idler tire works. I'm not going to change it, I don't think, because it does measure the same as the old one. So, but at least this assembly is back together. For now. I gotta mix up the epoxy yet and do that, but I will do that off camera. Okay, so there it is, folks. I got the epoxy stuff in there, and I'm just gonna wait for it to cure is all I'm gonna do with that. I've already cleaned these two reel table shafts and the idler, So it's ready to go back in as far as I can tell. But I wanted to let you know exactly where this this nut went, or this nut goes that fell out. Had to go look at the service manual for that. So see if I can find a pointing device so I can get all pointy with you. Basically, that nut is a spacer. It goes right here. So it's going to have to go down on top of this sliding plastic doohickey when I put this back together. So that's going to be fun. I haven't figured out where this... oh, where is it? I haven't figured out where that goes yet, but I will. I need to get this footage over to my 43-inch monitor, and hopefully I'll figure that out then. It's not for the capstans. Those are safe and sound up where the capstans are. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to try to figure out where that little washer goes, but I know where everything else goes, and I've kept track of everything, and yeah, I would have preferred the wire trick to work on this, but as you can see, it was already kind of melting into the plastic, so yeah, I didn't want to push my luck anymore on that, especially since I don't have any thinner core or thinner gauge wire to use on this. The doorbell wire is the thinnest solid core stuff I've got, so yeah, it was nice to experiment with, but it's clearly not going to work for this deck, but this will, I'll just never be able to get this apart again is all. So that new motor has been sacrificed. But yeah, we'll see what happens once it gets back together. All right, folks, I'm back after a one-day break. Not much of a break, but what are you going to do? I promised I'd have this done by Saturday, so I'm trying to get it done. We'll see if that works out or not, but as you can see, I've got everything back together now, and the reason behind that is I discovered where that orphan washer went, and it was on the reel table, so I just kind of wanted to get things back together so I didn't forget or lose track of anything. And it's a good thing I did that, because I also got the idea to go ahead and test this new reel motor just to see if everything was working, and everything was not working. So I got to tell you about that. Basically, this compile idler does not work. It's too small in outer dimensions. I'll just show you here. This one is 13.5 millimeters outer diameter. And the one that I've got in here now is the one I was saving for the BX1. It was the spare idler I got with the BX100, or BX150, I mean. And the diameter of that one is 15.3, almost 2 millimeters more. I found that the compile idler would kind of work a little bit, but it wouldn't give me any take-up drives, so no problems with this idler that's on it now. So if you're going to service this transport, just go ahead and get yourself an idler from Fix Your Audio. It's really the best way to go with one of these, and I don't know what I'll do with the compile idler, but I'll just throw it back in the package and pretend I never used it. So yeah, we're actually getting really close to the end of working on this particular deck, I think. Got a few more things left to do, like pinch rollers and alignment and whatnot, but we're getting real close to hearing this. So let's just go ahead and put the new belt on for the back tension, and we'll just go ahead and finish up the finishing touches on this. Anyhow, this belt is 1 millimeter square by about 40 millimeters. Something like that. It should work. It's the right size when checked against my PRB cross-reference for this particular belt. So hopefully it'll work, and hopefully I can get it in here. Trying to sneak it past the this plate here is kind of difficult, but it went. So we should be able to just get it right in here, sneak it under this little metal arm here. If I can get it to go. But yeah, one of the things and the stuffs I did off camera was to check the operation of the new real drive motor, and it's working perfectly, so very happy with it. So let me release the brakes and we'll check this back tension belt, and yeah, it seems like it's going to work. So a little bit of grease on there, but I can wipe that off with a Q-tip. I say this every time, but I hope this thing works when I'm done with it. But even if it doesn't, it was relatively affordable or cheap for one of these things. Most of the time when I see the KX-1000 on the Japan listings, it's for something like $300. So this was well under that price. So yeah, that's all set. And another thing I should mention is I've checked the tape path alignment off camera as well with the alignment gauge, and it's bang on target. So hopefully when I take these pinch rollers off to service them, it won't be too bad. I'm just checking the this one right now, and it's kind of gunked up inside there, so it has to be done. But yeah, I'm just glad that this thing has a setup where the alignment doesn't go off it when you pull the pinch roller off. So yeah, I guess that's going to be the next part we do here. I should be checking my springs to see how they go for these rollers. Okay, there's this spring that has to come undone. That's going to be fun to put back on, but whatever. All right, we got one E-clip off. Off comes the roller. And what I've been doing on these rollers lately is I've been cleaning them up using the, let me put that to the side. I've been cleaning them up using the rubber renew first, and then going in later with the soap and water and wire brush thing. That seems to work really well. I use that method on the Aiwa WX808, so I was happy with the way that turned out, even though I haven't finished that deck yet. Let's get this other roller off. That one did kind of pop up a bit, and just about lost the E-clip on that one. So yeah, I'll check the alignment once I get ready to put this back together, but for now it seems to be all right. I don't expect that it'll kill the alignment when I put this back in. I think it'll be just fine. Okay, so this is a two-piece assembly. There's the piece with the adjustment screw on it, and then there's the roller itself, and they kind of go together like so. So keep that in mind. So yeah, time for me to service the pinch rollers, and I'll do that off camera. Apologies, but I am getting to the point now where I'm so hoarse that I would rather stop talking for a while. And I haven't even been filming long today, so let me service these off camera and we'll get back to this as soon as possible. Okay, people, check this out. If I can get the camera to focus. That is a nice looking pinch roller. This is the take-up side. Cleaned up real well. I was almost tempted to put this back in even after only the rubber renew alone, because it was that good, but it occurred to me that I should probably measure these for you on camera. Take-up side is the usual 13mm by 8mm, and this is going to be 2mm, I'm sure. Yeah, 2mm shaft, or rather 2mm hole diameter. The shaft is 1.8. And on the other side, haven't gotten this one out yet, but yeah, it's going to be 11 by 8 by 2. Very sure of that. Yeah, that's what it is. So, pretty standard stuff. I've got new pinch rollers incoming, but probably not for this unit. These are cleaning up well enough that I'm very confident that they will work in this deck. So, and yeah, the condition of the deck being what it is, I'm not really willing to spend a whole lot of money either. So, those will be for future decks, and I'm getting another one of these idlers for the BX1, so that won't be a problem. But yeah, let me continue on and we'll get this done. Alright, folks and folkettes, I've got the rollers done, I've checked the tape path, it's fine, and we are just about getting ready to finish this one up, I hope. We'll have to obviously test it out first, but as you can see, it's going back together with no problems whatsoever. Now, before I move around back and put this decorative plate back on as well, I wanted to mention I'm not sure that this is going to be a particularly good wow and flutter deck, because I don't know if you can see it too well, but these flywheels are not in the greatest shape. So yeah, even though I've got a really high quality motor in there right now, it may not be the best for wow and flutter, but that's okay. We're just basically here to see if what this thing sounds like in its current state. I'm not too worried about flywheels on this deck. So let's get this beauty plate back on, because it's easy to do from here. And then we can move around back and finish up. And I must have missed a screw here. Yes, I did. It's this one up here. So yeah, we'll see if the BX1 door assembly fits this eventually, but that's not going to be right now because the BX1 needs its door right now. We have to get to that video first before we even try that. And I may not try that. I might just leave the plastic fantastic jerry-rigged one in this thing instead. We'll see. But yeah, we're all done with the front of this transport. Everything works, or everything appears that it's going to work, I should say. And yeah, we can get around back here and finish up the capstans and such. Now I'm gonna want to obviously put some lube on these thrust bearings back here. Just a dab like so. Doesn't need to be much. I'll grab my Androl again. One drop in the back only. I applied some more Androl to the front bearings a couple days ago, and they're still saturated there, so I'm not worried about those. But I just wanted to give a little bit more to the back here before I start running the capstans back through it. So I'm going to add a little bit of moly coat to this thing, making a mess everywhere while I'm at it, that I have to clean up now because I put way too much. Yeah, I got to clean that up and start over again. These should really be cleaned up anyway, so why don't we just clean them up? Just use a Kim wipe for this. But we're going to want some grease between the washers and the springs. There would have been some from the factory, and you can see it right there. But yeah, we just want everything to be smooth moving, is all we want. So let's try this again with the grease. Let's not get it everywhere this time. There, that should do. All right, one going on. And I'll point out again that if you use the WD-40 trick like I did earlier in this video, clean these thoroughly before you put them back in, otherwise it'll eat the new belt. And we don't want that, do we? Nicely lubed. Now we're going to need a belt. This one here, FRSP 9.6. And where's my motor plate? Here's my motor plate. I'm going to get myself a little paper clip that's been bent into a hook. And we're going to install the new belt. Like so. And I'm just going to hold it like this while I drop the plate on, and then I'll hook it around the capstan like so, or the pulley like so. Stretch it in place and it should be good to go. All right, folks, I got her back together. Sorry about doing it off camera, but this motor plate was kind of fighting me, but yeah, it's back together, and it appears that the Sharp motor is going to work, probably with the original pulley that came on the Sharp motor. It's a little bit bigger diameter than the other one, but that shouldn't matter. We should be able to get enough speed out of this thing to compensate for that. So hopefully everything's good now. It should work. I did have an issue with this wire here. This runs to the tape detection switch, and this was broken off, so I had to resolder that, but that was easy enough. That's the switch right there, as you can possibly see. I think it just opens up the circuit if there's a tape in there. I believe that's how it works. And you got to be careful when you put this back together, because this will kind of flop around loose, and you might get to a point where these little arms are beneath the switches, and you want them on top like that on all three of them. So yeah. Actually, I think that's the metal switch right there, but you can see that there's red stuff in there. That's because I've went in with the Deoxit D100 in there. Not exactly sure how to take these covers off without damage, so I've just never tried it. And so hopefully that'll work, because if I have to polish those contacts, I don't know what it's going to take to get to them. So it should work. All in all, I would have to say that this transport is in slightly better condition than the XK-007 was, it seems like. I don't know if the heads are. It just remains to be seen yet, but yeah, it's about time to get this back in the deck to see if it actually works for the first time. We could have unspecified other problems to deal with before we even get to hear it record. But before that, real quick, the new oil showed up. This is the stuff I got for possible future capstan use, but more than likely this might be used for the stuff I was using the sewing machine oil on, because I don't know what that stuff is, and I don't know if it's any good, and I think this stuff would be better than that at the very least. But yeah, there are people who use this exact oil for capstans. I plan to try it at some point on a future deck, probably the RSM 275XC, the Technics one. But yeah, it just came here a little bit too late to go into this deck, so we won't try it in this deck, we'll try it in a future deck. Anywho, who's ready to put this back in and see if the dang deck actually makes noise? Let's do that. Alright folks, it is back together and we are about to power it up for the first time. And just see what this thing's able to do for us. I've got audio hooked up now, so there's no reason this shouldn't work now. And yeah, let's just fire it up and see what happens with the transport. Okay, we got the control motor reset. Capstan motor is running and dead quiet. Let's see, where's my flashlight at? Just checking the belt path. I don't see any problems with the belt alignment at all, so let's see if we can get some sound out of her. And I'm going to use a tape you guys have never heard before. Let me zoom out here real quick first. This is a DBX test tape I made with the V900X, so I've been waiting for an excuse to use this one, and today's the day. We're going to check the DBX because if it plays properly, then we're going to use the DBX during the recording test. And let's see here. Where's the DBX? There it is. All right. It is go time. Okay, it took up the slack in the proper direction, so the real motor's in correctly. At least it should be. Fast forward. Rewind. Here we go. It's playing real fast, but it's playing. So all I got to do is bring the speed into alignment and calibrate the azimuth and whatnot. And actually, it really sounds better than I thought it would. Let's go forward a bit. I might have gotten away with another one here. That actually doesn't sound half bad, but that remains to be seen. I haven't done the test sweep on it yet or not, but we'll get to that. It is playing way too fast, but it is playing. That's the important thing. I'm just going to let it run here for a little bit just to see what happens. It shouldn't shut off because it's got two brand new motors in it. And the only one that hasn't been changed is the control motor, and that's been thoroughly serviced, so this should continue to work. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the speed calibration off camera along with the frequency sweep, because I don't know how to do that yet, and I don't want to waste your time while I figure it out. I will post screenshots of, or pictures of both when I get them all dialed in, and yeah, and then we'll do the recording test. And I think for the recording test, I'm going to use Vaporwave this time. Yeah, everything seems to be working on this deck now. So I'm just going to rewind her. And then, yeah, when we get to the recording test, there will be a link in the video description for as to where you can find the song I'm using. All right, folks, I found two problems while I was trying to do the speed calibration. First problem is this motor runs too fast. I can only get it down to about 3,300 hertz or something like that. So this is not going to work for this, which is too bad because it's a really nice motor. I'm going to have to figure out what to do about that for future decks that I use that on. But yeah, it looks like I'm heading for a motor service on the original motor that was in here. But the next problem is this is getting hung up, the cam drive. I'll show you what happens. See, it's trying to turn, but it can't, and I don't know why. Feels like it might be getting physically jammed, so I got to take the transport back out and see what the deal is. All right, folks, I think I got this at least working a little better. I haven't gotten the whole transport hooked back up yet, but I took the control motor assembly out again, couldn't find a problem there. I don't know, maybe the gear or the worm gear is split or something, and it's not engaging the shaft very firmly anymore. I don't know if that's the problem, but I tried reversing the polarity on the motor. That didn't work because it just jams if you do that. And I did get the original motor back in. Basically, I just took it apart and oiled both bearings front and back, so that's working now. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with this control motor. I also polished these switches. I cleaned them before, but now I've gone ahead and polished them with 3000 grit sandpaper, so I don't know if that's the problem or not, but as of when I first tried it again, it was still jamming up, so I don't know if there's something else going on with the control circuit in this thing that I might have to diagnose later, but for now, I'm kind of ready to get to the end of this, so most likely what I'll do is call it here and see if I can get the transport working well enough to do the recording test. Just hooking up some wires here, the head wires I disconnected. But yeah, I noticed that when the control motor was jamming up like that, if you powered it off and back on, sometimes it would work properly again. So let's power it up and see. Okay, it's online now. The old motor is now dead quiet. It wasn't like that before. So yeah, let's just have a look here and see if the transport behaves itself. It did that time. It seems to be working now. I don't know if it'll stay that way. So yeah. Let me get back to where I was before in calibrating the speed and getting the wound flutter. And if I have any more problems, I'll let you guys know. Okay, folks, well, you saw the frequency sweep. Not good. I tried it on metal and chrome tapes. Got basically the same result both times. Additionally, I wanted to mention that this deck was not able to calibrate a Sony Metal SR, so we're going to do the record and play test on a chrome tape. So it did manage to do that with a chrome tape. It fixed up the, or rather calibrated. But there are more issues with this deck. It may not be the heads. Reason why, take a look at this. You see the left channel level and the right channel level? That's what I had to do to get an equal level on both channels for the frequency response sweep. So it's not the azimuth. I've calibrated it 3 times now. Actually 4 times if you count the attempt I made in the T100 software. But yeah, something is going on still with this deck on the electronics side of it, possibly. But this could also be the heads as well. I'm kind of thinking it's the heads, but you'll have to let me know if you agree with that. At any rate, this is very clearly a parts deck. It's not going to do much except, well, he'll record vaporwave. It just has to be the vaporwave that has no high end in it, because this deck does not do high end. It just doesn't. It does some high end, just not very much. Like I've got it running through the home theater right now, so. Anyhow, I got it about as good as I can, so we're going to do the record test now. I'm going to leave the DBX on, because why not? This deck's not going to impress anybody the way it sounds, so, well, maybe it will. I don't know. I will try and find some decent vaporwave for it, but yeah. Parts deck, very much so. I don't know if I'll try and find another one of these, or if I'll try to find the K1020 instead, which is in Japan known as the K1X. So, I don't know. Lots of parts in here for a K1X if I buy one, because it's the same transport. It's just one generation older. Okay folks, just one more little quick update before I conclude this video and have to re-render it, because it's done. I just decided to get back in here and work on it after finishing my editing, like I always do. But anyhow, I wanted to see exactly what was going on with the decreased high end on this thing. And basically what I thought I would try to do is polish the heads just to get a little more high end back. So I got out the auto saw and did that. And I thought, well, I'd better just check this with the microscope. So I checked my work on the microscope, and that's when I found the damage. Folks, the playback head is damaged on this thing. I don't know exactly how it happened, if someone just bashed it or something, or whatever happened to the door impacted it or something, but you can definitely see there's damage there, and I'm showing you a shot of that right now from the microscope. So basically, the whole point of this deck is it's no longer able to play, but it can record just fine. So, for what it will do at the current state it's in, is actually fine for me. Don't need it to play back, I just need it to record. So, that's exactly what it's going to do. Haven't looked into the line-in amplifier issues yet, but that's where it is. It's in the line input, why the one channel is so weak compared to the other. I'll get to that at some point. It's not that important right now, but that's what the issue is. Needs a new playback head, but of course it's not going to get one in its current state, so definitely a parts deck, but it's good to know I can record on it regardless. Anyhow, see you next time.